It's 10 after 8 Central African time. Hello, Sunny Bonani. My name is Bob O'Connor. Welcome to the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. Welcome to France. Welcome to Circuit Paul Ricard. It is the 11th of a 12-race season. We are very, very close to the end of what has been another, display of dominance from Don Rabico, who was represented in this year's lobby. Tops the championship standings on 178 points. The defending champion, who has won up until this point 6 races. He's won exactly 50% of the 12 total championship races, and he's looking to make it, 7. He missed the race last time out in Las Vegas, and here he is this time saying that this would be his final race, presumably for the season. And we will not be seeing him in the season finale, which should be taking place next week. Ban Kobe is here, looking to stake their claim on a decent string of results towards the end of this season. Sadly for Ban Kobe, it was a P11 finish in Las Vegas last time out. And we'll see how he will manage to fare. So it's Don Rabico, the champion, 178 points. Smirch Django, second in the championship standings on 136 points. And in P3 is Zotal, who's some way away, but still a decent season as far as he is concerned. 86 points for Zotal, whose best result of the season came all the way back in Saudi Arabia when he crossed the line at the end of that race to finish P2. But sadly for Zotal, it was a DNF in Las Vegas last time out. Grimjaws, one of the latest additions to the BrakeAway Racing League stable, and to the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. He is currently 4th with 73 total points, a sensational showing considering how late they joined the season. Also claiming a race win all the way back in Canada, did Grimjaw. Mex has racked up 72 championship points, currently 5th in the standings. Loveness Tato has 72 points as well, currently nestled in that P6 spot. But before we get too carried away, we will take a look at exactly how these drivers will fare in this qualifying session. 18 minutes they have to stake their claim to go around this circuit as fast as they possibly can, but it will be made that much more complicated by the fact that it is raining, as you can all see at this particular point. We've got a decent view of the Red Bull garage, which is currently occupied by Man Ray, as you can see. And one of the latest people to join this year lobby. And once again, Tapiso wasting no time in the new look livery Ferrari, which has been spiced up a little bit in recent races. So Tapiso doing what Tapiso does best, and that is coming out onto the track as early as possible. 8 drivers represented. We do expect 10 racers who did confirm that they would be taking part in this here race. But with the addition of the likes of Don Rabico and Ban Kobe, it may yet be 12 come the start of the race. We do hope that will be clarified in due course. Loveness is here, and Kawako D-Wax was in the lobby at some point. Will they make it in time to be able to stake their claim on a decent quality prospect? Well, time will tell. Smirch Django dipping in and out of the session. Perhaps some early connection issues that we're seeing out here, but time will tell, folks. It's just over 16 minutes of the session remaining. Man Ray has left the session. Man Ray their car has retired out of this session before things got going in earnest. Car number 3, Tapiso, now making their way down the one of the short blasts towards turn number 10, which he reaches now, and it's a short run towards the long looping curve of turn number 11 before he hits the left-hander of 12 in the technically demanding sector 3 of this track. Welcome to France, everybody. It is, of course, a track that has a fair mix of both of all high, medium, and low-speed corners, and it is a track that people tend to favor for testing. in, well, times where the weather is even more favorable. Let's catch up with some of you in the comment section. Looks like Don Ravico is the only one represented there. Man Ray is back, and Man Ray will be dismayed at the fact that, well, their car is no longer eligible to take part in the rest of this qualifying session. Tepiso, however, has crossed the line to become the first driver to take us on a tour around the circuit. Oh no, it's a glitched lobby, folks. Just as we were about to hop on board with Tepiso, we were not able to do so. Tepiso's out on track, but, well, we're not able to follow along. So it seems like we might be having slight glitches here, folks. I will be checking in with race control and the masters of this lobby before we get too far ahead of ourselves. It looks like Bongani, Debo Crocodile, is still running here without too much incident. So we'll stay on board with Bongani. But sadly, it is an invalidation for Debo Crocodile, who's now going to have to go all the way around once again. Not sure what happened to Tepiso there, folks. It says that their car is back in the pits, but that does not make any sense based on what we were seeing. All right, folks, as we watch Debo Crocodile make their way around to begin their second push lap in earnest, we will instead hop over to Zotile. The second half of Team Ferrari now crossing the line to begin their first push lap in earnest. We have had another person join this lobby, that is Inkawako Dwack. Zotile has navigated turns 1 and 2 cleanly. Unlike Debo Crocodile, who's on board we watched earlier on, with 12 minutes 45 seconds of this session to go. Here comes Zotile in towards turns number 6 and towards 7, which is, of course, the left-hander that he's just left, and he blasts all the way down to the chicane at turns number 8 and 9. Keep a close eye on those splits, folks. This should be the first representative lap that we see here. Considering Debo Croc's mistake, Zotile makes a mistake of his own, however, on the exit of turn 8, and it's a compromised run towards turn 10, which would have been taken flat out were it not for these current conditions. But we are seeing Zotile understandably lift off the throttle there and struggling to get any semblance of grip over here. And in these conditions, it's perhaps expected that these drivers will go for consecutive hot laps, trying to make sure that they get those intermediate tires within the best possible working window so that they can eke out whatever grip they can with each and every successive run. Zotile on the exit of the final corner had a slight twitch, trying to keep as much momentum as he possibly can. Crosses the line for the first representative time of this rain-affected session. 1 minute 42.978 is the benchmark, courtesy of the Ferrari driver who has been the first to set a time. Smirch Django is back in the lobby. Debo Crocodile is back on a proper hot lap run, which has not been interrupted by invalidations. Will he have a cleaner exit than Zotile out of the final corner? The answer is yes, but will it be enough to pit the Ferrari driver by the time he crosses the line? The answer to that is also yes, by a factor of just over a tenth of a second. It is Debo Crocodile from Zotile in the top 2 spots. Just over 10.5 minutes of this session to go. Sadly, Django dipping in and out of the lobby with network issues. Tepiso will be next to set that representative lap. Can Ferrari make it a front row lockout by the time this session is done? Well, Debo Crocodile will not make it easy. That is Tepiso. He is now navigating towards turns 5. This is 6. As he drifts wide of the apex, he will nail a 7, touching the apex there, and send it blasting towards the chicane of turns number 8 and 9 here at the Circuit Paul Ricard. Tapiso fighting for his life as far as survival in Tier 1 is concerned. Currently 14th of the standings is Tapiso, has racked up a total of 19 championship points up until this race here in France. His best result of the season by some margin was that P4 finish back in Mexico. Can Tapiso replicate that at the very least to send himself hurtling up the championship standings? Currently 14th. He is well and truly in the mix, in the thick of those playoff spot fights, and he will just want to have nothing to do with that. Remember, folks, the bottom 3 drivers in the standings get relegated to Tier 2 automatically. As it stands, bottom of the standings is Sun Hashira on 0 points, and Neville also has no championship points. Man Ray has 11 championship points, currently mired down in that P18 spot. Tapiso, however, in 14th in the driver standings, is looking to fight his way out of contention. Here he comes now across the line for the quickest time of the day, 1:42.064. Tapiso for Ferrari, quickest with just under 9 minutes of this session to go. Ban Kobe is next to, hope to set the timing sheets alight, but it is not a successful run. As you can see, Ban Kobe drifting all the way back into the pits, having invalidated his attempt earlier on. The 86er Gallimathan GT is out on track, 8.5 minutes of the session to go, just to exit the final corner. That, of course, being turn number 15. Here he comes now, screaming towards the line, and he crosses it with a 1:42.900. It is the third quickest. That slips in between Debo, Crocodile, and Zotal for the provisional P3 spot. Runaway champion Don Ravico is out on track, but it is an invalidation on the first push lap for the champion out in the Mercedes seat. Teammate Grimjaw is nowhere to be seen today. Grimjaw also having come into the top tier, absolutely setting things alight as Zotal's second push lap results in the quickest time of the day, 1:40.638 for the Ferrari driver. Tato Loveness has already tasted the glory of a podium finish in this stacked Tier 1. Here he comes now with a Sector 1 split of a 25.848 seconds. Ban Kobe brave in the pit lane with 7.5 minutes of the session to go. No time set yet for Ban Kobe in the Williams team as Loveness sends it screaming towards the chicane at turns number 8 and 9. What can he do come the end of Sector 2? Oh, Tato almost out breaking himself there. Not quite on the apex of 8, but manages to line it up somewhat for 9. And now sending it screaming down towards the fast right-hand turn of turn number 10. 56.792 is Tato's Sector 2 split. Looking all right, looking fairly comfortable in these conditions. Some of you older BrakeAway Racing League or more seasoned BrakeAway Racing League viewers will be well aware of the kinds of performance that Tato Loveness has put on in race trim in these conditions. So, if the rain persists, watch out for Tato Loveness's performances. He has been known to light it up in the rain, so to speak. Here it comes now towards turn number 15, the final corner of this track. As things currently stand, it's a front row lockout for Ferrari. Zotal, Tapiso, the top 2 drivers. Can Loveness spoil the party? The answer is yes. He slips right between the two, and currently up to P2 for Tato, aka Loveness, with a 1:41.764. Tato Loveness in the rain, looking very, very comfortable. Inkawako D-Wax is Tato's teammate, of course, now making their way. Slight twitch there as made his way towards turn number 7. Now sending it screaming down what would have been a DRS straight in dry conditions. Here comes turns number 8 and 9 for the AlphaTauri driver. Inkawako D-Wax back in, his comfort zone. He's been a staple, part of the furniture at AlphaTauri for many a season if you've been watching BrakeAway Racing League, and particularly the top tier, for some years. 5.5 minutes of the session to go. Inkawako D-Wax now surging through turn 10 into 11 and 12. Long looping right-hander. Oh, slight twitch there for D-Wax. trying to line up the entry into the left-hander wide of the apex there. Will cost him precious few tenths of a second as he looks to stake his claim on a decent grid start here. If you're brand new to Formula One and how it works, I'll explain that after I give the rightful plaudits to the first driver to breach that 1 minute 39 second barrier in these rainy conditions. Don Rapico, quickest thus far. D-Wax pushes the likes of Loveness and Tapiso further down the grid with the third best time of the day thus far, 1 minute 41.478. If you're new to Formula One, the aim of the game in qualifying is very simple. Drive around the track as fast as you possibly can, and, the faster you are, the higher your starting position will be. So as you can see, Don Rapico was gone fastest. As it stands, Don Rapico will start at the front of the grid, aka pole position. D-Wax, who we've just watched, is now drifting their way back, possibly to the pits. Van Kobe, we watched earlier on, have a slight mistake, having to come back into the pits prematurely. Here it comes now on what would be his first representative lap of the day. Van Kobe hurtling towards turn number 10. His sector 2 split was in the 57 seconds, and thereabouts, in the low 57s, I would say. Less than 4 minutes of the session to go. Van Kobe for Team Williams. Somewhere in South Africa, Tepo Temba waving that royal blue Williams flag high and very ferociously. Being cheered on is Van Kobe, somewhere in South Africa, by Tepo Temba, their teammate. Van Kobe, another driver who is looking to reclaim the former heights of old as far as their qualifying and race performances are concerned. Now, makes his way through the final corner and sends it screaming towards the line. What'll it be for Van Kobe? It's a 141.886, good enough as it stands for P5. Sage figure of speech, Smirch Django, the two drivers yet to set a representative time. Sadly for Man Ray, it, will be no further participation in this qualifying session. As it stands, we will have 11 drivers starting the race here at Circuit Paul Ricard, the 11th race of the season, the penultimate race of the season. Van Kobe, it seems, is still giving it an almighty push here on a consecutive push lap attempt for the Williams driver. We will catch up with Smirch Django instead as Van Kobe looks to improve on that current P5 spot. As I say that, sadly for Smirch Django, it is an invalidation, and the McLaren driver will have just under 2.5 minutes to make their way around this circuit and come back and stake the claim on a position which could hopefully challenge the likes of Don Rapico. Meanwhile, Van Kobe has found a lot of time, a lot of improvement. It looked like at the most recent split, he had found about 0.8 of a second. So Van Kobe looking quite racy here, as these intermediate tires have come into a decent working window for this Williams. And now Van Kobe seemingly making that car sing. Oh no, but as I say that, he took too many liberties with track limits. And look at Van Kobe now scuttling all the way back into the pits. Van Kobe, sadly, a huge mistake there towards the end of what was looking like a sensational second push lap. Van Kobe may yet have to settle for P5 at the very best, unless the many drivers behind them improve. But as I say that, Debo Crocodile, look at that, just crossed the line, found a lot of improvement. It's P3 for the Aston Martin driver, Bongani, Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator. We've yet to confirm, of course, if Debo Cayman is related in that family tree. Bongani and Gwenya, Debo Crocodile, P3. What a sensational push lap that was by the Aston Martin driver. Sage, figure of speech, also in the colors of Aston Martin here today. But of course, Sage figure of speech nominally is the 86ers teammate in that Red Bull seat. Yet to steady representative time, it is now or never. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance for pole. This opportunity comes once in a quality session. It's Sage figure of speech. It's P2. A sensational effort at the death of this quality session, and the Aston Martin driver the Red Bull driver, of course, will be grinning from ear to ear. And it looks like he may have enough time to send it on another push lap as Tipiso goes quickest overall. 39.754 is a sensational effort by the Ferrari driver, who is looking absolutely comfortable in these conditions. Sensational effort, top of the timing sheets, but what sort of answer will the rest of the field have? Zotal, sadly, invalidated. Will he cross the line in time to begin a push lap? The answer is no, not yet. And Don Rabico has invalidated. No chance to improve. Not enough time to cross the line as well. Tipiso, it looks like we'll be starting in pole position. Sage figure of speech is still pushing at an earlier part of the lap. Here comes Loveness. Tato, can he spoil the party here before all is said and done? Tipiso found sensational form towards the end of the session. Here comes Tato towards the line. And Tato, Loveness is the top of the timing sheets with the quickest time of the day. The first driver to break into the 1 minute 38.422. Tato, Loveness, take a bow for Team AlphaTauri. Sensational stuff. Here comes Smirch Django, however, on an improving track, a drying track, as it looks like he might have something to say before all is said and done here. Will he have enough as he comes towards the line? It's screaming towards the line. At the death, it's Django in pole position. 1 minute 37.081. The quickest time of the day by some margin. Sensational stuff to end the qualifying session over here. It's Django in pole position here in France. And Loveness will take that P2 spot to begin this race on the front row. Tipiso, sensational effort towards the end of this quali session. Will start in P3. Don Rabico, the champion, the runaway performer of the past couple of seasons, will start this race in P4. The 86er Gallo Letsang GT in P5. Sage figure of speech will be in P6. So Red Bull's running in formation in the middle of this grid. Zotal, invalidated towards the end of his quality session. P7 it will be the starting position for him. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, will start behind the Ferrari driver. And man, oh man, what a session we have in prospect over here. Of course, Man Ray sadly having to start this race all the way from the back of this pack. Sensational stuff by Smirch Django, who had lobby issues, seeing him dip in and out of this session. But cometh the hour, cometh the man, showing his class by a factor of about 5/10, just under 5.5 of a second in this rain-affected quali session. There it is, folks. Mane will start down to P11, Ban Kobe P10, and Igobako D-Wax will start this race from 9th position. Welcome to the top tier BrakeAway Racing League. Welcome to France. Welcome to race 11. And welcome to even more rain. If these drivers were hoping for a reprieve from that qualifying session, well, the racing gods are playing a sick joke, a cruel joke. No rest for the wicked. It is going to be absolutely pouring rain. And as you can see on the pit lane, puddles of water. I can't expect full wet tires for these drivers on this grid. It is not going to be easy out here, folks. But of course, this type of race, these types of conditions, does present opportunities to some of the more wily drivers who may have started this race from a position of disadvantage. So time will tell here. Welcome to race number 11. It is 5 lights. It is the only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out as we race for 27 laps around this circuit in France. It looks like Debo Crocodile has slipped and fallen all the way down the pecking order here. It's Loveness versus Smirch Django and Don Rabico in towards turn 1. It looks like they keep that formation. Loveness and Smirch Django in the top 2 spots. Don Rabico looking to have his say. Someone is going on the inside here. in the midfield. It's six figure of speech on the attack here, and the 86er clinging on to that P5 spot as the top three drivers have already eked out an advantage of about a second, even before we get to the end of Sector 1 over here. It looks like Ben Kobe is clinging on to that P8 spot. Behind him, Zotal, not the best of starts. Depot Crocodile down to P10. As things currently stand, Igawako D-Wax is having an almighty tussle with the 86er. He's overtaking the 86er, almost making contact with the Ferrari. Oh no! It is the six figure speech who hits the back of the Red Bull, and he's going to go tumbling down the order. Six figure speech has lost the wing. They go side by side. It's Ben Kobe and the 86er over here, and we're going to hop on board with the 86er, who has tumbled down to P7 now. This race has just started. I can barely keep my breath and take a look at some of the biggest movers. Ben Kobe up 5 places, as is Ngawako D-Wax having the time of his life in rainy conditions. It's a full set of wet tire conditions over here, as you can see, and it is looking absolutely breathless start. Despite these conditions, running all so close together are the likes of D-Wax, Bankobi, Tsapiso, the 86er, and Zotal, trying to give each other absolutely no breathing room. This is Zotal, whose vantage point we're seeing as Don Ravico further ahead overtakes Loveness, or does he? No, they're having a titanic tussle. Oh no, contact between some of these drivers in the midfield. Let's catch up here with Loveness, who has just ceded that P2 spot to the champion Don Ravico. The top three drivers now running a full 3 seconds ahead of the drivers from P4 onwards. Tato does not have the cleanest of exits through that turn number 15, loses a little bit of ground to Don Ravico, who is going all-out attack for the lead of this race versus Nurse Django, who has crossed the line to complete the first lap, still in the lead of this race after that sensational qualifying session. 0.3 of a second is the gap between these two drivers, and Don Ravico leaving absolutely nothing to chance as he applies the pressure on the McLaren driver, who is currently leading out here in France. Don Ravico seems to be even braver on the brakes compared to Smirch Django there, through the corners, inching ever so close to the back of that McLaren there. Sadly, Sage Figure of Speech had that huge moment of contact that we saw earlier on, and that has seen him become the first casualty as far as lost wings are concerned. Sage Figure of Speech now having a fight back of the ages all the way down from P11. Oh no, Smirch Django did not get the cleanest of entries there into that chicane, and Don Ravico could smell blood. Now here he comes on the outside as they were about to send it screaming towards turn number 10. Tapiso has cut corners somewhere in the midfield and has lost a little bit of ground as a 5-second time penalty for the Ferrari driver, who has just been overtaken by Bankobi. Here comes Don Ravico on the inside towards turns 11 and 12. He was close, but no cigar. Side by side, wheel to wheel action. Will they bang wheels? Almost. They give each other all the room necessary there as they fight for the lead of this race. Can Tato take advantage here as they almost bang wheels to Don Ravico and Smirch Django, but they try and keep it clean. They try and give each other some breathing room, some racing room. But Smirch Django says, "You shall not pass" in lap number 2 of 27, and Don Ravico will have to bide his time again as these laps keep ticking over towards lap number 3. Sensational, breathless stuff here in this race. As you can see, let's take a look at the tire compounds. As expected, a full set of wets for this entire grid, as Tato Loveness is doing a sensational job to make sure that he stays in the reckoning, in contention for a potential race win here. Malusi the Malusi, Mello the Mello, the veteran, former driver of this year, top tier, remarking on some of the sensational battling that we're seeing in very tricky conditions out here in France. Meanwhile, in the midfield, it is Bankobi, Zoltan, the 86er, and Tapiso battling it out. This is Tapiso on the inside of the 86er. He got that move done cleanly. They bang. It is a set of wing to wheel as far as the 86er here in the back of Tapiso over there, who got that move done. The cleanest of overtakes on the Ferrari there, as Tapiso, who is trying to put on a recovery drive of his own here, having qualified so well. But the 86er is fighting back here. Oh, they made contact. Oh no, Tapiso comes off worse off, and he is out of the race, having made contact with the 86er. Galalatang has sent Tapiso careening into the wall, bringing out the safety car. Drama in the third lap out here in France. The 86er making contact with Tapiso, ending the Ferrari driver's race. As we had mentioned here, folks, Tapiso is in a massive fight trying to make sure that he does not take part in the playoffs. And sadly, in the third lap of a total 27, contact with this man, the 86er. Oh, sent him off. Zotal under the safety car. Almost having a huge moment of his own, but nothing risking terminal retirement here. Tepiso will be absolutely seething, having done so sensationally well in qualifying, and he was looking very, very racy, sensational pace, and we saw that huge moment of contact between the two. Tepiso now, of course, voicing his frustrations right here in the comment section. WTF, the 86er, what the heck was that? Tepiso will be straight to the stewards with that one. We'll likely be looking for maximum sanctions against the 86er. He finds himself after that breathless moment, still running, still P7, still with a car intact. Of course, in these conditions, grip is at an absolute premium, and any unwanted contact could result in the moment that we just saw. So the 86er, well, perhaps very likely to face heavy sanctions when all is said and done here. Smirch Tango still in command and control of this race. It has not been easy by any stretch of the imagination. Under pressure, under duress from Don Rabigo and Tato, a.k.a. Loveness, who have done really, really well to keep the McLaren driver under all the necessary pressure. And Kawako D-Wax makes it an Alpha Tauri 3 and 4 as things currently stand. And the safety car will allow all these drivers to get bunched up behind one another before racing is resumed. Safety car, of course, means that the marshals and, by extension, race control are making sure that all hazards are removed from the track. In this case, the wreckage of that Ferrari belonging to Tepiso being cleared. Racing is suspended, meaning that no overtakes are allowed, and you have to keep to a certain speed, aka delta, under the safety car, up until the powers that be deem the race safe to be resumed once again. D-Wax P4, Dan Colby P5, having had a fairly tough start, but found himself back in the reckoning here for a decent finish for the Williams driver. Dan Colby, currently 15th behind Tepiso in the driver's standings. So Dan Colby he'll be happy about the tragedy that is currently befallen Tepiso. At the very least, if he stays in this position, Dan Colby, he's going to leapfrog Tepiso. Dan Colby has 17 points, Tepiso 19 points. Dan Colby is 15th in the driver's standings, Tepiso is currently 14th. Zotal, currently third in the standings with a total 86 points before this race. Currently sixth, the 86er behind him. On his return to the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League this season, is fairly safe as far as not slipping down into the playoff spots is concerned. With just one more race remaining after tonight, the 86er has 54 points, currently P8 in the driver's standings. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, is currently in P12 on a total of 26 championship points coming into tonight. Man Ray, having retired their car in qualifying, has a decent shot here of adding to that points tally of 11 points. And of course, Tindo is ahead of Man Ray by just one championship points. Only the bottom three drivers get eliminated. Current bottom three of the standings are Man Ray, Nebo, and Sun Hashira. The latter of which are likely to get automatically relegated, considering the amount of races that they have missed up until this point. Tindo has 12 points, 17th. Tabo T92 has 16 points, currently 16th in the driver's standings. Dan Colby is 15th on 17 points. Ahead of Dan Colby is Tepiso, 19 points. And in P13 is Mandla, Romeo, Massango on a total of 21 points. We then have Debo Crocodile, P12, 26 points. P11 is Inkawako, a.k.a. D-Wax, who currently has 30 points. And Siege Figure of Speech, who had to fight his way down from an early setback. Currently P10 of the driver's standings. Donovan Laka is 9th, the 86er 8th, September 7th, Loveness 6th. Mex is in P5, Grimjaw is fourth, and then we have Zotal, Django, and Don Ravico at the top of these standings. And Smirch Django, who's no stranger to being among the front runners, is going to get us back racing with the safety car having been recalled into the pit. So the question is, when will Smirch Django send it? Might yet be here in these tricky corners. Oh, he tried and he failed, did Smirch Django. And there goes Don Ravico unchallenged. Thank you very much, courtesy of Smirch Django being too eager on the throttle, trying to catch them off guard, but he tumbles all the way down to P6. Oh man, and look at Zotal coming into the pits at the restart. Perhaps might have made unnecessary contact with Django. It's Loveless on the attack versus Don Ravico at the race restart. Green flags are being waved over here, and the top two drivers have already eked out a 1.3 second advantage to the whole pack before we get to the end of Sector 1. It is sensationally dramatic stuff here at the restart. Smirch Django getting it absolutely horribly wrong here as he tried to catch the rest of the pack off guard. And now it's an AlphaTauri 2-3. Loveness, Tato, Inkawako, D-Wax running in formation towards the front of the pack. And my oh my, will they be enjoying that. Remember, Loveness is a driver who is no stranger to these types of conditions, and in particular to putting on a decent showing in the rain. He does enjoy himself in inclement weather, does Tato, aka Loveness. Now, hunting down the runaway champion, it is not easy. Look at this vantage point. Look at the quality of exit that Don Ravico gets, trying to break the toe, trying to break the heart and the hope of all AlphaTauri drivers, and in particular fans of Tato, aka Loveness. But he's fighting his Tato. He's doing his utmost best to stay in touch with the champion Mercedes driver, who himself is trying to make sure that those full wet tires are eking out whatever semblance of grip they can possibly find in these treacherous conditions. Tato, Loveness slips further and further behind that gap now, 1.3 seconds between those two. Sage Figure of Speech is trying to get the best of Man Ray ahead of him, and it is not the best of potential overtakes, but there goes Sage Fig on the outside, and Man Ray, struggling for grip, has now finally been overtaken. Sage Figure of Speech has lost a lot of ground trying to overtake Man Ray over there, and as Malusi the Malusi rightfully notes, Zotal rolling the dice early on, going for a set of intermediate tires. Malusi the Malusi says it's a decent shout, a decent call by the Ferrari driver here, and we're going to get a sense of that once we see whether or not Zotal will indeed be closing the gap, in particular to the drivers in the lead of this race. As it stands, it's 29.5 seconds, the gap between Zotal and race-leading Don Ravico. Here he comes now. Miles and miles behind Man Ray, who is in that P9 spot, and as it stands, it looks like that gap is staying at pretty much a similar margin, so not quite nipping that gap, or rather not quite stemming the flow of that gap. Oh, D-Wax has had a huge moment, thus relinquishing a couple of positions over here. It might have been an almighty spin that we missed as we were watching Zotal's attempt to catch up. And on that note, it doesn't look like Zotal is having the best of times here on these intermediate tires. He's already 30 seconds behind, so he's lost about half a tenth of a second as Zotal in the space of a single lap. A lot of work yet to do, but if this weather does ease somewhat, then it may yet be an inspired call by the Ferrari driver. This, however, is Inkawako D-Wax, who is trying to recover, having run in P3 at some point. Is that Van Kobe coming into the pit? Yes, it is. 6-lap-old wet compound tires are going to be exchanged by Van Kobe now, rolling the dice, calling it at an early stage, as that Williams makes its slow crawl towards its position at the very end of the pit lane. He also rolls the dice similar to Zotal and switches to a set of intermediate tires. The fastest driver out on track is Smirch Django, despite that early mistake. As I say that, Zotal snatches that fast lap, and perhaps now is the time where we'll start to see that gap get ever smaller between the drivers running the intermediate tires and those on the full wet. Gap to the leader for Smirch Django is about just under 9 seconds. So work to do for the McLaren driver after that huge setback sent him, well, tumbling down the order. It's Don Ravico still in control, in command of this race as he comes around turn 10 into the long looping 11 on this famous Circuit Paul Ricard. 2.9 seconds behind is Loveness, who can still see the Mercedes driver head down the road. As I say that gap becomes 3.3 seconds. So Loveness definitely not having fun through turns 12 and 13. Loses significant ground to Don Ravico. But despite that, he will come into the pits, perhaps also for that set of intermediate tires. Zotal, meanwhile, has just overtaken Manray as Don Ravico sets the fastest time of the day on those full wets. Oh, the 86er gets slapped with a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And as these drivers slowly start to make their way into the pits, it does promote Smirch Django back up to the top 2 spots behind the race-leading Don Ravico. Now, who will Zotal pass in the pits? The answer is a fair few amount of drivers, now up to P6, and the fastest driver on track on those intermediates. So, it looks like the Inters are the tire of choice, and of course, at this particular point of the race, despite the rain, they are trying to, dispel all of that water. These tires are, of course, eking out a semblance of a racing line here, which is bringing these intermediate tires into an even better working window as these laps tick on along. So Zotal, 3-lap-old intermediate tires, looking like the quickest driver out on this circuit. Ahead of him is Tato, aka Loveness, and none of the current top 4 have pitted. As things currently stand, on board with Loveness we go, looking to overtake Sid's figure of speech as they send these cars screaming towards turn 10. Oh, Loveness had to slam the brakes there, but he's going to send it on the inside of the 11, but Sid's figure of speech said, no, you shall not have it that easy, not on my watch, not now. Don Ravico has come into the pit from that P1 spot. Oh, here comes Loveness on the inside of the Aston Martin for today, and he is now up to P4. It is Loveness hoping to catch up, at the very least, to Don Ravico and make it a heck of a race. But it looks like the Mercedes driver will have more than enough in the bag as far as pace is concerned to cling on to that P1 position. But how close will it be? Oh, the answer is very close. 1.6 seconds, 1.3 seconds. And remember, folks, Loveness has the tires that are warmer at this particular point. Don Ravico's Inters are absolutely ice cold in the rain, in cold conditions. So it may yet still be advantage Tato, advantage Loveness as he looks to effect an overtake and claim the lead of this race with 10 laps having elapsed here in France. What can Tato do? Loveness, Tato, the hope and pride of AlphaTauri here today, looking to give Don Ravico all of the headaches. And ahead of Tato, you can see Don Ravico weaving to the left and to the right, trying as much as possible down that back straight to eke out some grip and just get those tires into as good a working window as possible. So Loveness huffed and puffed. He tried his best, but sadly did not manage to catch up at that particular point. But he's trying, he's pushing his Tato. Gap now down to about 7/10 of a second. And these corners, folks, are where Don Ravico is much more comfortable on this track. In previous laps, it is these corners where Don Ravico has just eked out a gap. And look at that. What was 7/10 now stretches to about a second between these top two drivers. So Tato fighting for his life, trying to push and pressure the champion as much as he possibly can. 10 laps gone. 17 still to go. A lot of racing here, folks. Tato is the quickest driver on track, taking advantage of that slipstream courtesy of the race-leading champion of the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. Zotao, now having worked his way up to P3, having rolled the dice early on, will be very, very happy with that. Back up in the podium places is the Ferrari driver, and Van Colby now running in P4 as things currently stand. Let's take a look at just how close these drivers are to each other. Van Colby is, some distance away from Zoltal at this particular point. The Ferrari is absolutely gone. Not even within the field of vision of the Williams driver. Gap now 7.4 seconds. But Van Colby under pressure, as you can see from Galileo GT, the 86er, who has to contend with a time penalty and is putting the Williams driver under all of the pressure. Behind the 86er is Smirch Dangle, who is inching closer and closer to this battle, ostensibly for that P4 spot. Van Colby huffing and puffing, trying his best to stay within the reckoning for a decent points haul here today. But Galileo Tsang GT, the 86er, will make life absolutely nightmarish. This is the viewpoint from the back of the 86er's car. A gap which was more than 3 seconds less than a lap ago is now down to 1.8 seconds. Don Ravico, quickest driver on track, 143.539. The 86er under pressure as he himself tries to apply exactly that to Van Colby. This is Galileo Tsang's viewpoint. He is wanting to get this done in towards turn number 1. Van Colby, they give each other a little bit of racing room. Will they make contact into turn 1? It's going to be touch and go. Will it be an absolute touch? Oh, they do give each other a little bit of racing room, but the 86er goes off track, trying to make that move stick. Here comes Van Colby fighting back, and arriving on the scene, it's Smirch Dangle on the inside of 1. Will it be 2? Almost making, a sensationally dramatic contact with the back of the 86er here in the 12th lap of 27. They're running oh so close, are these three. The 86er from Van Colby and Smirch Jangle, respectively, looking to eke out whatever advantage he possibly can. Van Colby huffing and puffing, but falling further and further behind. Here comes Jangle in the run towards the chicane of 8 and 9, side by side, wheel to wheel, and the McLaren driver has effected the overtake. It is done before they hit the breaking point, and the 86er, try as he might, could not keep Smirch Jangle at bay, and the McLaren driver on a recovery effort is now up to P4, having already pitted, and now looking to close that 8.8 second chasm between himself and Zota, who currently occupies the third and final spot on the podium. 12 laps elapsed. If you've just joined us, well, folks, we've had only 11 drivers. We've had drama, heartbreak with the likes of Tapiso crashing out, courtesy of contact with the 86er earlier on. But as things stand, it is a very, very good race that we could look forward to here. And I tell you what, if conditions do ease between now and the end of this race, we have an absolute potential classic on our hands. This is the 86er trying to put all of the pressure on the shoulders of Smirch Jangle. But the McLaren driver gets a very, very good exit and is blasting down this main straight, hurtling down towards turn number 1. Well, decent sprinkling of drama all throughout this race here, folks. This is Debo Crocodile trying to pressure Ingowacko, aka D-Wax. Debo Crocodile, this is cousin of Debo Alligator through turns 1 and 2. Keeps it clean, keeps it singing and humming. That gap hovering out to about a second at this particular point with 13 laps gone. Debo Crocodile looking very much at home in the top tier of BrakeAway Racing League. A driver who has shown their class in their journey through the BrakeAway Racing League ladder. Looked very, very racy upon arriving on the scene. And, of course, back in his Tier 2 days, of course, did show his class, and now making his presence very much felt in the top tier. Bangani Debo Crocodile up against a veteran Ingowacko D-Wax, who has been very much a part of the furniture in the top tier of BrakeAway Racing League, and pretty much a staple of the AlphaTauri outfit. Debo Crocodile applying the pressure. 1.1 seconds, the gap between these two fierce competitors. Bongani, Debo Crocodile, with a season's best of P7 this season. So it's been a case of consistency for Debo Crocodile. Barely missing a race, has made sure to collect points every time he finds himself on the starting grid. Failed to collect points in Spain, where he crossed the line P11, all the way back in race number 5 of this season. And, well, it's been P9, P8, P7, P7, P9, P10, P8. Debo Crocodile, the very essence, the very picture of consistency. Bad Kobe is either an oracle over here, or he might just have made a catastrophic mistake. This track does not look like it is anywhere near drying. Yet here we have Ban Kobe on a set of medium compound tires. And as you can see, he is really struggling, sliding all over this track here. Zero grip on slick tires in wet conditions. It is a recipe for disaster. Well, if it was a roll of the dice and the rain will be ending soon, then I'll tell you what, folks, this is one of the most startling choices we've ever seen. Otherwise, if it was a mistake, well, that is Ban Kobe's race pretty much ruined, and now he's at risk of getting slapped with penalties for cutting corners at this particular point. And it's from a case of bad to worse here for Ban Kobe. 13 seconds off the pace as far as his own personal best laps is concerned. Ban Kobe is going to need to come back and right the wrongs here of this tire choice. And yeah, that is pretty much his prospect in the mud if this was a genuine mistake. Man Ray will claim points. Well, we'll claim a point. All he needs to do here today is just bring it home without much drama. And, well, it'll be points that he will not take lightly at all. Ban Kobe is still pushing on these media tires. Now, a case of stick or twist that Ban Kobe says, you know what, I will stay with it. I will keep these medium tires, and I will take the risk, and I will still keep pushing. Don Ravico, 5.3 seconds ahead of Tato, a.k.a. Loveness now. Once again, in firm control and command of this race, as has been the case for many races since Don Ravico became a part of the BrakeAway Racing League stable. Coasted, breezed through Tier 3, and was swiftly promoted up from Tier 2, courtesy of drivers that relinquished their seats in seasons gone by. But ever since coming up to the top tier, well, I've had beautiful battles and contests and tussles with the likes of Smirch Jangle. And even earlier this season with former teammate Mercurial Caesar, who was giving Jangle, or rather Don Ravico, all of the headaches before leaving the BrakeAway Racing League stable. But now it's been smooth sailing for Don Ravico here. Now with a 6.2 second advantage to the closest competitor. Ban Kobe getting overtaken by the P9 running Man Ray now, as the McLaren drivers go side by side, fighting it out towards turn 1. Will they make contact? No, they do not. Sage figure of speech has the track position there, and Debo Crocodile will do best to try and make sure he hangs on to the coattails of his teammate. Sage figure of speech now up to P7. Oh, we've got a DNF. It's Man Ray. Man Ray crashing out, bringing out the second safety car of the day. Man Ray was on the verge of collecting 3 points here, With only 10 active drivers, Ben Colby gets a golden opportunity to collect his earlier mistake. And look how slow he's moving across the pit lane, looking not to earn another 5-second time penalty. Well, late drama here. Man Ray crashing out of the race in lap 15. Here comes Ben Colby for, number one, to serve that 5-second time penalty, and it looks like it's still going to be a fresh set of mediums for the Williams driver. Still sticking to his guns is Ben Colby, all the way down in P9, and he was almost lapped here. But here comes Don Rabico, who will lead the field behind the safety car. And it's mediums also for Ben Colby. Will Loveness follow suit? Yes, he does. The rain has definitely eased at this particular point. And Django now also into the pits and fits those brand spanking new mediums. So everyone on the same wavelength as things currently stand. The 86er Galilith Sang, well, it's softs for him. So alternate tire strategy at Red Bull that the 86er Galilith Sang has fitted on. And Gowacko D-Wax also fits those mediums, so goes conservative at this particular point. Sage, figure of speech, follows the 86ers lead and chooses a set of soft compound tires. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, has opted for mediums. And all the way down in P9, it is Ben Colby trying to catch up to the back of the pack. And by the time the safety car comes in, the Racy Williams driver will be in prime position to give the likes of Debo Crocodile a lot of headaches here. But Ben Colby will first need to catch up. Well, what a race we've had here, folks. 17 laps gone. Don Rabico, Loveness, Zotal, Django. You're leading a quartet. With 10 laps of racing to go, those of you who've been watching from the beginning will be well suited to tell us who is winning this race. Honors even as far as everyone being on a set of slicks is concerned, and on a drying track. We also have a situation where the drivers who were penalized have served their time penalties. That was, of course, the 86er and Ben Colby as well. Who is winning in France? Let us know. In the comment section. Well, folks, remember to like the stream if you have not done so already. And subscribe to our channel if you have if you're enjoying the action. Liddy has just joined the action as far as tuning into this race is concerned. Well, what you're seeing, Liddy, is a set of drivers who were for a large part of this race on a set of full wets, and then conditions changed. They switched to inters, and the latest driver to crash out was Man Ray. And, well, most of the field has taken the gamble that this race will end in dry conditions. Thus, we see everyone running on slicks in the rain. Don Ravico leads from Loveness, who has had a sensational race and a beautiful quali session as well. P2 for the AlphaTauri driver Zotal in that third and final podium spot will be under all the pressure from Smirch Jangle in that P4 spot. The 86er and Sig Figure of Speech have gone the alternate route as far as tire compounds are concerned, so they will be a threat. Oh, at the start here, as we see the 86er struggle to catch that car. Running in P5 and 6 on those softs, Igawako D-Wax is 7th. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, Bongani and Gwenya in that P8 spot. Someone is coming to the pits early. And that person is Zotile. Well, well, well. Back onto the inters. So perhaps Zotile has some sort of intel that we do not hear. He was on the mediums, but has gambled back onto the inters. Will this race be wet enough? Is that Zotile's gamble? Is Zotile gambling on conditions being treacherous enough for him to find himself way up the order? Hey, Banna, get the popcorn, says Malusi the Malusi. As C-Clay remarks that Ban Kobe is making almost zero inroads as far as catching up to the pack and the safety car is concerned. Well, well, well. Zotile here giving us some late drama as he catches up to the field. And we will see whether or not this will be a gamble that pays off beautifully for the Ferrari driver. Zotile was P3, now P8, with one of the biggest rolls of the dice that we have probably ever seen. Safety car is in at the end of this lap. Last time out, Smirch Jangle made a massive mistake going too liberal on the throttle. Well, he dares not repeat such errors. It is Don Rabico versus Loveness leading us down this drying track. It's the race restart. It is drying conditions. It looks like Zotile's gamble may not have paid off here. This track is drying way quicker than Zotile would have hoped. And it looks like they will have a semblance of grip here, as there is absolutely no water being picked up by the back of these tires. And Zotile's gamble is looking like an absolute dud. The roll of the dice not looking like the best of decisions. His tires will be absolutely cooking, overheating. Those intermediate tires, which are absolutely not suited to drying conditions, Zotile will be absolutely kicking himself. But this, however, is Smirch Jangle on the fight back of his life for a potential race win here after a huge mistake cost him so dearly earlier on. 0.3 of a second. Jangle in attack mode versus Tato, aka Loveness. we will hope that the top two drivers make mistakes as they tussle each other and scramble for position for the race win over here. Don Ravico looking to end his season with a flourish here in what he has said is his final race of the season, even though it is the penultimate race of the Tier 1 season. Leading the race is the Mercedes driver under pressure from the likes of Loveness and Django, who are applying all of the pressure. Despite having a set of soft compound tires, the 86er and Sage Figure of Speech have absolutely no response, seemingly, as far as the pace of the top three is concerned. This is the viewpoint from Sage Figure of Speech, fighting, of course, versus their teammates. Even though Sage Fig is in an Aston Martin today, he is nominally a Red Bull driver. Zotao concedes his mistake back into the pit for a set of slick tires, as Smirch Jangle sets the fastest time of this race thus far, 36.032. Here comes Sage Figure of Speech. Is about to make contact with the 86er. Oh, he had to nail the brakes. Absolutely inch perfectly there. But even in doing so, he's lost ground, has Sage Figure of Speech. Now 9/10, almost a full second behind their teammate. So, absolutely fighting for track position are the two Red Bull drivers, Sage Figure of Speech and the 86er Galilet Sang, who was involved in that huge incident with Sapiso earlier on. Back on board we go with Smirch Jangle looking to fight versus Tato, aka Loveness. It looks like Don Ravico has far too much pace, control, class, speed, versus the rest of this field, has already eked out a 2.1 second advantage to the rest of the pack, which is, of course, being led by Loveness from that P2 vantage point. Smirch Jangle biding their time perhaps, or struggling to keep up with the pace of Loveness at this particular point. Time will tell. It's one we're going to watch very, very closely indeed. They're both on about equal amounts of battery power, each hovering at about 57%, that being Loveness and Smirch Jangle at this particular point. Further down the grid, it is the rekindling of this rivalry for P4, Sage Figure of Speech versus Galilet Sang, the 86er. And Gawako T-Wack is a further second behind the Red Bull pair of Sage Fig and the 86er. Devo Crocodile, distant cousin of Devo Alligator, currently in P7. Bongatti is under pressure from Ban Kobe, who currently is hanging on to that P8 spot. Conditions are dry, and Ban Kobe a full 19 seconds ahead of the P9 running Zotao. So as it stands, Ban Kobe managed to catch up to the back of this pack, but is not having such a good time versus Debo Crocodile. As Smirch Jangle has a 3-second time penalty, which brings the 86er into contention for a podium spot. But look at that, Don Rabico has also racked up a 3-second time penalty. Late drama over here, and Tato, aka Loveness, is now in with a golden opportunity for a potential race win here. But look at that. It's not going to be easy as Django goes on the attack on the inside here into the chicane of turns number 8 and 9. It's Django making light work of Loveness. Now up to P2, and Tato is going to fight back. He will not go down without a fight. It's Thursday action night. It's top tier action in BrakeAway Racing League. In towards turns number 10 and 11, they come screaming and taking advantage of the slipstream. Loveness thought about going on the inside, but was not quite close enough, and does not want to make any unnecessary mistakes, which would see him fall foul of track limits and earn himself a 3-second time penalty. Tato, Loveness, golden opportunity here for something special, something sensational versus the top two. And at the very least, he's going to need the dispatch of the McLaren ahead of him. It's not going to be easy. That's his turn 15, however, the final corner of the track. Now, screaming towards the line, Don Ravico, quickest time of the day. Once again, Tato, Loveness, no answer for the pace of the Mercedes ahead of him, but still within a shout here of a decent, very, very good race result here. Don Ravico is leaving nothing to chance, making sure that Loveness is absolutely zero hope of a race win here, courtesy of that 3-second time penalty that the champion Don Ravico has racked up at this particular point. Tato, Loveness biding their time. The DRS straight will be coming up very, very soon as Zotao goes even quicker than Don Ravico at this particular point. Here they come now. The McLaren of Jago is flashing, and Tato, aka Loveness, will smell blood, will smell a golden opportunity to absolutely send it, but was not close enough for that chicane, that being turns 8 and 9 that they're navigating just now. Meanwhile, Sage Figure of Speech is still pushing their teammate, the 86er, on along at the tail end of this race. Not a lot of laps to go. Lap 23 of 27. The 86er flashing at this particular point. Stage Figure of Speech will want to get past and stake their claim on a decent result of their own with so many laps, having elapsed at this particular point already. Van Colby says he's getting Delta. That's why he cannot catch up. So says Teppo Temba here. And he did note that he did catch up eventually. And Malusi was reacting to Zotal's gamble, which was ill-advised, did not pay off at all. And what could have been a podium for Zotal, remember? It could have been a podium. Zotal rolled the dice from a P3 spot. Now Zotal is all the way down in P9. This, however, is Stage Figure of Speech, pushing their teammates as far along as they possibly can, not necessarily going on the attack at this particular point. Galilitsa and GT in potential trouble with the stewards for that incident with Tapiso earlier on, hanging on for dear life in P4 as things currently stand. So these soft tires, perhaps feeling the pressure and feeling the strain at this particular point of the race. But despite that, Stage Figure of Speech on the inside of their teammate is going to go for it. Oh, 86er says you shall not pass. 86er hits their teammate. Oh, zero room for Stage Figure of Speech. And Igawako D-Wax picks up the pieces. Now up to P5. Stage Figure of Speech will not be happy with that. The 86er falling foul a couple of times here. Was Stage Figure of Speech too ambitious? Or was the 86er right to keep their elbows firmly out there? No love lost there between the two teammates. Who were absolutely scrapping over there, and Galilitsang, the 86er, in absolutely feisty mood here today in that P4 spot. The second huge incident that we've seen from the 86er today on camera, and he's still running, still in P4, now trying to catch up to Loveness, who is about 3.1 seconds down the road. Well, a couple of reactions there to those moments involving the 86er and Stage Figure of Speech. What a moment that was there for Galilitsang. Stage Figure of Speech now behind D-Wax. 8-lap-old softs versus 8-lap-old mediums. It's advantage D-Wax as far as tire compounds are concerned. The softs are quick, of course, they are quick in their brand spanking new condition, but well, 8 laps old, the advantage will eke more and more towards Nkawako, aka D-Wax. Stage Figure of Speech used up so much of his battery trying to stay in touch with the 86er, and now down to about 10%. So Stage Figure of Speech flashing, and Nkawako D-Wax just leaving nothing to chance, trying to kill the hopes of Stage Figure of Speech, getting that overtake. Here they are now, flat out through turn 10, and this is 11 into 12. The right-handers, D-Wax trying to make that Alpha Tower as wide as possible. Stage Figure of Speech looking for an opening. Try as he might, he just does not have an opportunity to go for it on Nkawako, aka D-Wax. Through turn 15 goes D-Wax and sends it absolutely screaming down, trying to leave Stage Figure of Speech for dead. Leave him in the dust, if you will. Meanwhile, further up the grid, it looks like Django has caught up to Don Ravigo, who had a massive gap. Might have been a mistake from Don Ravigo off camera, or it might have been some sensational driving by Stuart Django, who is inching even closer to Don Ravigo. We'll catch up with that as we see whether or not the Stage Figure of Speech will manage to maintain this pressure enough to effect an overtake. And Nkawako D-Wax weaves to the right of the track, trying to break the slipstream, break the toe that Stage Figure of Speech has. And this, of course, was the corner where they made contact with Stage Figure of Speech with their teammate Gavin Lefang, the 86er. He is pushing his Stage Figure of Speech. Not quite close enough to consolidate what would be a P5 spot. I think Don is out of fuel, reckons Seatley. In the comment section, that red light is flashing. It is late drama. Seatley, absolutely correct. That red light is flashing. Don running out of fuel, having underfueled here. Perhaps hoping for even more drama. We did get a couple of safety cars. And what this does is bring number 1, Django, and number 2, Loveness, into the reckoning. Somebody tell Tato. Somebody tell Loveness that Don Ravico has run out of fuel. And considering Django's time penalty, it may yet be a sensational result here for Tato. 4.7 seconds is the gap that Tato has to the lead of this race, and thus the potential race win. But they're on the final lap here, folks. Cinch, figure of speech, has racked up a time penalty, which will ruin his prospects for that P5 spot at the very least. A yellow flag. Oh no, Don Ravico completely out of fuel. The fuel is run out, and here comes Tato, who now smells a golden opportunity for a sensational win at the end of the race here. Tato has drained all of his battery. He has about 0.8 of a second, 0.2 of a second to gain for what could be a sensationally memorable race win in the top tier of BrakeAway Racing League. We've seen heartbreaking results here at this particular sequence of quarters when Malusi lost the race win versus Seaplay. A whole lot of season to go, but can Tato, can Loveness pull off a miracle over here in the penultimate race of the season? He just needs to eke out 0.3 of a second, but Smirch Jangle may just have done enough. Smirch Jangle will cross the line, and it looks like he will win the race here in France. And Tato, Loveness, try as he might, misses out by 0.8 of a second. The 86er comes across the line to take advantage of that last lap drama on the podium places. Man, oh man, Ngawako D-Wax crosses the line in P4. Cinch, figure of speech, makes it P5. Debo Crocodile is 6. We then have Bad Kobe, Don Ravico, and Zotile finishing off the runners over here. Late drama in a race which was seemingly petering out towards a very calm conclusion. But on the top step of the podium is Smirch Django, winning the race in dramatic fashion. And Smirch Django claims only the second win of this season, having finished P1 all the way back in race number 2 in Saudi Arabia. Tato, Loveness, Take a Bow was absolutely imperious in qualifying, and Tato matches his best result of this season, which was, of course, a P2 back in Mexico. Tato, aka Loveness, back on the podium, and it's a P2 this time around. The 86er, after all that drama with his teammate and the drama which took out Tapiso as well, will be very happy with that. Don Ravico responding in the comment section to reactions that might have, rolled the dice far too much over there. And Gobacco D-Wax questioning what Zotal was doing perhaps towards the end of the race, or perhaps Gobacco D-Wax is responding to Zotal's roll of the dice there. Man, that was absolutely entertaining stuff. Stage figure of speech finished at P5 behind D-Wax, Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, finished in P6. Band Kobe 7th, Don Ravico down to P8, courtesy of that underfueling. 9th for Zotal. It could have been a podium. And Man Ray and Tapiso, the sad casualties of this race. But the man who joined us first in the commentary box is the man who crossed the line first, taking advantage of some late drama. But he did his best, of course, to make sure that he kept his nose clean and out of trouble. Smirch Django wins in France. Congratulations. How does that feel? Take us through your quali and your race.
Good evening, Ty. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Yes.
Ah, man, this was such a fun race. And I thought I was going to hate the rain, but it's always so nice to race, in the rain and seeing different strategies and having fun of speeding while you're leading. But quali, I came in very late because of that kick. The game kicked me out, and I knew that I wanted to do only one. So I did two warm-up runs and then just went for one run. And I saw that it was drying up towards the end of quali, and they gave me DRS in the back straight. So I guess that's where I gained the time from everyone else.
Man, and take us through the restart. Was that just too much throttle there? It was very surprising to see you tumbling down, I think, after the first safety car.
Yeah, I think just a mistake from my side. I tried to go in, a bit earlier so that I could give myself some time,
Yeah.
but the car just decided to spin around. So I was like, oh my goodness. And then I was trying to come back, and I think I had a squabble with someone, and it broke my wing. And I just thought my race was over. But
Yeah.
luckily, the safety car, came in and saved everyone else, and drying up and stuff. So yeah, it was a good race. Not gonna lie, it was a funny race as well.
Extremely entertaining to watch as well. Pretty sure you'll enjoy going back and seeing all of the the
Yeah.
incidents and the drama that took place there. But your race eventually, of course, worked out quite nicely there. Take us through the final couple of laps when it clocked for you that Don Ravico might be having fuel issues. I don't know if you might have been in the same party chat or the same tier one
Yeah.
chat. Did he let you guys know what was happening?
We were in the same chat. So he underfueled because it was raining. So he thought, it was just gonna be fine, not knowing that it was gonna dry up towards the end of the race. So he ran out of fuel in the last lap. And fortunately for me, I managed to take out loudness out of my 3 seconds without running out. And I was also around zero point 0.2 with my fuel. So luckily, it was the last lap and managed to come through and
Yeah,
clinch the
yeah.
win. And it was just funny seeing Don, dropping down the order. And he was so, 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 so sad because he underfueled. So funny.
Oh man. Yeah. As you say that, I'm just trying as well to get the 86er in this commentary chat to see whether or not he could join us. But just take us through your expectations then for the final uh, race of the season. Of course, it's been a long slog with back-to-back races. What are your expectations there? Once again, you're in the top two spots. And just want to hear your thoughts as
Yeah.
well on some of the guys that have joined Tier 1 and are going to be competing with all of you guys next season and beyond.
For the last race going to Monza, everybody's fast in Monza, and also you can run different rings in Monza, and still get the best strategy in. So it's gonna be about who gets the best strategy, and hopefully uh, we give a very nice fun race. And in regarding to the drivers, I think rather what's going to be interesting is next season because tier 2 is looking so crazy, and
Yeah.
I really 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 can't wait to get those some of those guys to come in tier 1 and finally have my pace back with regards to wheel. So definitely next season we're going for everything, and it's going to be crazy.
Going to be crazy. He's going for everything. Someone who was going for absolutely everything today. Two major incidents, perhaps might even be in trouble with the stewards, but it is a podium place nonetheless. Despite the drama of this race, the 86er GT Galilatang, congratulations. Take us through number one, your quali and your race and those two huge incidents.
Yeah, shots. Thanks, Thais. Yeah, I don't know what to say about the incidents, man, but quali was a bit tricky because obviously joined a little bit late. So it's
Yeah.
basically playing catch up the whole time, trying to get into the groove. and trying to get the inters into a good place. So I think even with quali, I wasn't completely comfortable in the rain. But then when they got into the race, for some reason, I was just in a better zone. So kind of like Lewis, my quali shows me flames, but once I get into race mode, things start to pick up.
Yeah.
I think I spent the first couple of laps trying to avoid. Typically, was so slow coming out of corners, exiting corners. Um, so half the time I had to hold the accelerator back so that I don't get into an accident with them. And I think eventually we had a bit of a clash. And then finally, the race started to pick up, the weather started clearing, and I think I was quite fast in the weights. I was enjoying the weights. And I think, towards the end, they had a little nice battle with Sage.
Yeah.
Not sure if I left him room. I think I left him enough room, or I think he was also saying he would have had to cut the corner to make it through. But it was nice. It was a nice battle with him. And then Ravico spun, and first podium of the season. So yeah, it was quite an eventful race. We literally had all the weather, so that was amazing. That was fun.
Yeah. And just take us through your season, man. Especially if you consider the momentum that you carried, having fought your way up, survived a tier 2, which wasn't easy with the amount of competition that you had there, and the momentum that you've had now to cement your place in the top half of this table. Just take us through that journey.
Yeah, so I think getting to last season was a bit hectic, but I'm glad we were able to make it through. I think I knew surviving this season, so I think kind of survived last season, just made
Yeah.
it into the top 10. So it kind of made me feel a bit more confident in my driving ability. Time trial pace is always good. I think it's just a matter of carrying the pace into the race, and I think I was able to do that a bit more. I mean, obviously, I think Crash just mentioned that there's almost like 4 tiers in tier 1. There's Django, Grimjaw, and Don. And then there's kind of like Loveness, Sotile, Max, Don. And I think I'm almost in the same level as those guys. And then, there's Bankobi, Sage. So there's quite a nice little, mix of drivers. And I think with guys like CK, Duke coming up, next season's going to be a fight. It's going to be a crazy fight.
Oh man, cannot wait! I cannot wait. But you guys have pretty much I don't know, felt the fires. The pressure cooker of tier 2, which in recent years has really been really crazy competitively as well. So can't wait to see what you guys do in Monza. GT, congratulations. Best result of the season after, of course, having a couple of P5s. And Django back in the top step as well, a second race win of the season. Congratulations, gentlemen. We will see you hopefully in Monza next week for the season finale. And I'm sure you'll be kicking back and watching the playoffs, licking your lips to see how those guys will fare in the playoffs. But yeah, having a good one. We will see you next week.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, and as we say goodbye to the 86er and Django, just catching up with the final comments here. Don Ramico confirming that he had underfueled, and Debo Crocodile saying it a heck of a lot was happening in that race. At least I can say I beat Don in a race this season, so says Debo Crocodile. And C-Clay was saying crazy how the safety car did not help to save fuel. So yeah, that's just lamenting Don Ramico's unfortunate moment there, but it did, of course, result in some sensational drama towards the end. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. We will see you next week in Monza. Tier 3 on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Tier 2, Wednesday, 8 p.m. And Tier 1 should be 7:30 p.m. Hopefully, we get a nice full grid to end our season off with a bang. Thank you, everybody, and good night.